Okay, in this episode, we're going to talk to Coach Raymond about why carnivore. Why do we choose the carnivore diet and not all of the other ones?
Great question. First of all, the carnivore diet seems very difficult to some people. Why carnivore is mainly for strictly for healing. So this is a great modality to reset your body, in my opinion, and it gives your body a break where it doesn't have to work on struggling to remove toxins all the time and trying to remove negative effects. Meanwhile, it's trying to fuel itself. The carnivore diet actually helps with fueling itself and repair itself at the same time. So that's the biggest reason why carnivore diet would be the best overall for most people.
Mhm. So you're basically saying that plants and grains that are kind of the core of other diets like, veganism, vegetarianism, and like the Mediterranean diet, you hear all these things that are always saying, make plants the majority of the plate, if not the entire plate. So you're saying that plants are actually bad, and that's why you would want to take them off the plate and grains?
That's right. So we all have reactions to any of the plant foods that we do eat. There is a reaction, counterproductive reaction to it. Now, on the carnivore diet, early on, you may feel symptoms of detoxing, which you would think that would be a negative reaction to the meats, but it's not. Your body's it finally had the chance to go ahead and let out some poison it hadn't been able to in a long time. So your body's going to take the chance to do that. Now, that whole process, we've noticed from experience that it takes right about 3 months. A lot of carnivores gotten together and we kind of figured that out for most people who just start off. There are some stubborn people. It depends on how much you punish your body over the years that it may take longer. But typically we see a 3 months mark for that.
So if you're saying you start to feel okay after 3 months on carnivore, and you're saying this is a way to heal the body, wouldn't you just stop after you heal the body? Like you heal your gut with carnivore, and then can't doesn't that mean you then can tolerate the different types of foods from the other types of diets?
So on carnivore, there is positive and negative. So the carnivore diet attempts to get the body back into its homeostatic shape. That's why some people lose a lot of weight during it. Not everybody. There are some people that do hold on to weight because there's something else that's not healing properly. But the body tries to go back to homeostasis as best as possible because now it all of a sudden it fuels. Now, why would you stop after 3 months? Right when you transition, the way I see it, right when you transition, you've just gotten where you're used to eating this way and your cravings already gone down. Now, you could do it just for a reset and say, hey, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I just want to reset once a year. And that can work, that can be beneficial, especially for some folks who doesn't have that much damage. So it's a good reset. So I do encourage that also. It can be done just for a reset. You will get benefits and you will see benefits. Most people see so much benefits that they're wondering if that little 5 minutes of pleasure is really worth that much damage to their body when they re-add the plant foods back in.
Okay, so you're talking about, I mean, I can understand if people say the standard American diet, kind of displacing those foods. We know those are bad and harmful.
Right.
But you're saying that plants are basically that same harmful, so that, we actually shouldn't be eating plants and fiber then?
Right. So very interesting. You mentioned the standard American diet. The standard American diet is a high processed way of eating. So it's hyperly palatable and super processed. It is pretty much uh, chemicals and factory made more than home cooked made. When you go vegetarian, you will see a benefit there because you're removing all of this fake foods and you're at least going to real foods on the assumption about vegetarians. Some vegetarians don't. They end up eating breads and all these fake foods also, well, they're not going to see any benefits. So that is true. There is one layer that you will heal somewhat from the vegetarian diet, but there is a limit. And with the carnivore diet, so far, 3 years in, I've not seen the limit of the healing. It becomes to the point where now I'm thriving, and I feel like that's what's important. You stick with it, you will thrive beyond what your body you've ever thought you could do. And I think that's what's important. And that gives a real reason why the carnivore diet. Everybody has their own whys. You need to find yours.
Okay. But I still am having trouble because they always say, like, you hear a lot about paleo, right? Like,
Mhm.
paleo is, as you say, take out processed foods, and it's like paleo's whole foods from nature. It's all natural. So wouldn't it still be better to have like the paleo diet where you're eating like good protein and you're eating meat, but you still have those vegetables on the plate for nutrients and variety? And I mean, they always say diversity and having a balanced plate is so good. So why not paleo as opposed to carnivore?
Yes. So diversity is actually key on this. A lot of this um, diet modalities keep encouraging diversity because of the diversity of the microbiome and the gut flora. And if we look around in nature, how most animals eat, they don't eat very diversely. They typically have one type of food to try to stick with, or two or three at the most that they'll stick with. Unless you're like a bear, then you probably rummage, or some kind of vulture or what. Even then, they stick to a certain limited diet. So why would human beings be any different? We should actually try to limit our foods, not because it's restrictive. It's just because we are more of our bodies can understand what to do with this one set of food, one set of instruction easier than if it has 20 of them. So it knows what to do very quickly. So that would actually build the body to become as efficient as possible. And I believe that the body is very intelligent. You feed it one certain thing, it will figure out how to do the best for your body. All of that takes time for your body to learn, but when it learns it, it wants only one certain fuel, and it's good with that.
Wow. But don't they say, because you talked about other animals in the animal kingdom and how they all eat or focus on one type of food, but don't they say our digestive tract is like an omnivore's, like because it's long versus like the short digestive tract of some kind of like, meat killing animal?
Yeah, that's kind of the argument, is looking at the stomachs of the animal and our canines, and where we're going from that judgment that we're omnivores. And there's no doubt we can eat both. So if you mean by we're omnivores, that we can adapt to whatever situation we're around, then truly, yes, we are omnivores. But we cannot say that that's the better part for our health, because what we consider the other side is fallback foods. Fallback foods are foods where if there's no food around, we can actually survive on roots out of the ground. One thing about the human beings, we are adaptable. We can survive on any climate on the earth, and we do survive on any climate on the earth. We're extremely adaptable. Saying that, what makes us the strongest and hardiest human beings is the real question. What food would do that to us? And in my belief, it's the carnivore diet.
Wow, that's very compelling. I guess the last question I have about why the carnivore diet would be, you hear so much about the ketogenic diet and even keto carnivore. And quite frankly, I don't even really know what the ketogenic diet means. So why carnivore versus keto?
Yeah, great question. So a ketogenic diet is pretty much you allow about 20% of your diet coming from carbs. And there's certain limits that you can do with that 20%. You can't eat the highly processed foods, and They steer away from certain sugars other than the erythritol, the fake sugar, stevia. Um, but I can only give that from an example point of view. I had a girl a client that kept stevia in her coffee. And that was the extent. She was fully carnivore, and stevia was the only thing with a cup of coffee once or twice a day. And she kept on wondering why she couldn't lose weight. Oh, and she had gum also. That was also stevia on there. And I told her to take those away. And I was like, and then let's see. She was curious enough. After the second week, she was reporting a great weight loss that she's never seen before. She lost like 10 pounds, but that wasn't the big thing. A month later, she used to have problems with her dry eyes, and actually had some vision impairment. She went to her optometrist, and they said that all of those are gone, like it didn't exist. So that told me right there, even that little amount. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that's the sugar, but even that little amount can hinder the process of healing. And that's why we need to be careful when we try to do the carnivore diet. That's why we are insistent on the strictness. It depends on what you want to heal.
Okay. And I definitely think that with the keto movement, you see all these keto friendly treats. And I'm going,
Don't.
well, it seems like you're just going to continue to crave unnatural processed sweetness
Yes.
because they have all these keto friendly sweet foods, right? Sweet foods and breads and right. So,
And if you have an addiction problem, you're always going to go right back to it won't be a sustainable path for you.
okay. Well, this has been a great bite. Thank you, Raymond. So,
Thank you,
you've
Janice.
explained very clearly why the carnivore diet. See you next time.
See you next time.